And we've got another Fox News alert for you on this busy news day. Lawyers representing Trump attorney Michael Cohen say that Stormy Daniels' attorney, Michael Avenatti, has been spreading demonstrably false information about Cohen. They say that some of the wire transfers Avenatti highlighted are allegedly from a different Michael Cohen. He got the wrong Michael Cohen, they say, and apparently they're right. Still, Cohen's lawyers, the correct Michael Cohen's lawyers, concede that some of those records are real and that Avenatti should not have had access to them. Is financial information now fair play as long as it's being used to hurt a political enemy? That appears to be the new lesson today from Washington. Stormy Daniels' lawyer has confidential bank statements. And so the question is, how did he get them? Whose custody were they in? We don't know because Avenatti won't reveal that. The Treasury Department Inspector General's office has announced it is launching a probe to find out. Andrew McCarthy is, of course, a former assistant U.S. attorney. He writes widely on these subjects and is read avidly by many, and he joins us tonight. Mr. McCarthy, thanks for coming on.
Tucker, thanks for having me.
It's a narrow question, but it's a meaningful one. How do you get a hold of somebody's bank records? I thought they were supposed to be private.
Well, they're sure supposed to be private. A lot of stuff that happens in investigations is supposed to be private, like grand jury material. According to the attorney for Cohen, he was given commitments by government prosecutors that to the extent they had financial information of his, that would remain confidential. So if the IG from the Treasury Department is opening an investigation, that's a pretty good sign that they think it came from the government.
Well, so could the government leak my medical records or my home address or the name of my kid's school? I mean, is there a limit to the private information that can be leaked if they don't like you?
Tucker, they've been leaking classified national defense information since before the 2016 election, and we had torrents of it around Trump's election. So the point being, if they can leak things that are important to them, why on earth wouldn't they be able to leak things that are important to you?
Well, that's a very smart point. And yet at the same time, paradoxically, and you've written about this, they're withholding information from the public on the grounds that it might affect or harm American national security. And it's starting to seem like maybe they're withholding information in order to protect themselves, things that we should know about, we don't know about because of CYA. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think it is fair. I mean, you know, look, there's probably not one silver bullet answer to why they do everything, and I'm certain that there are national security. I mean, look, we're talking about FISA court proceedings, intelligence information. There are going to be methods and sources and stuff that we get from foreign intelligence services. There's no doubt about it. But the thing we have to be mindful of is every time they've been pressed, when they say national security or investigative integrity is the reason that they have to withhold something, what we find when we finally peel it back and get to see it is that they're protecting either their own very flawed, sometimes decision-making processes, embarrassment, or exculpatory information. So you really have to be skeptical when they say we need to hold this for national security reasons.
So I'd be interested in your take on the Cohen story. I mean, nothing about Michael Cohen, to be honest, would shock me.
Right.
But it's hard to assess in the early hours of a story like this how significant it is. What do you make of this?
Well, the thing I keep telling myself is that Mueller voluntarily gave this case to a different prosecutor. I can't imagine if he thought that Cohen was the key to establishing some kind of connection between Russia and Trump, that he would ever have let this case walk to a different prosecutor. Yeah. So what I think is what I've thought from the beginning, which is it's a Southern District of New York case, my old office here in Manhattan. They are probably looking at a lot more than a campaign finance violation. But with Rosenstein, the Deputy Attorney General, having told the president that he's not a target, I think we should assume until we see otherwise that this is a case about Cohen.
It sure seems like a case about Cohen.
Right.
So you're reading all these this speculation about how Cohen's going to turn on the president. Is that a concern? And if he did, what would he say?
You know, I always say the same thing when that question comes up about anybody, which is, sure, you can pressure Manafort, you can pressure Cohen, you can pressure all these people. But the only time it's effective to have somebody flip on somebody else is if they have anything incriminating on them. And if they don't, you know,
No, this is why people read you so avidly, because it's wise. Thank you, Andy McCarthy. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Tucker.
Democratic Party still grappling with the downfall of the Attorney General of the state of New York, Eric Schneiderman. That happened the day before yesterday. The question is, how many people knew about Schneiderman, what he was really like, before the rest of us found out? Probably quite a few. That's next.